Thank you for joining the Golf Underground. Now, the Golf Underground is brought to you by Mariner Wealth, helping you navigate your financial future. Star Companies KC. Experience a more energy efficient and comfortable home with Star's insulation services. Regain Functional Medicine. Feel better, function better, move better, and look better. Cowell Insurance, providing brokerage and risk management services for over 25 years. Sana Orthopedics, backed by research and clinical results tailored perfectly to individuals' needs. Bob Sight Ford and Bob Sight Independence Kia, where you'll score a double eagle on your next car or truck. Sheridan's Unforked, eating good and feeling good. In Lewisburg Ford, nobody sells more F-150s than Lewisburg Ford. Celebrity Greens, put a custom PGA caliber putting green in your backyard for the ultimate golf experience. Now, on to the program. Hey, welcome to the Golf Underground, ESPN Radio here. This is a very special day, George. We got out of school today. We went on a field trip. Now, you, like me, were probably a C student back in college, and we didn't like
high school. I haven't gone to college yet.
You didn't go to college yet, right? This
is my college education right here.
This is
on a very important subject to all us old people.
This is. I mean, we are recording live from Regain Functional Medicine just out south, which, by the way, it's just south of 435, which to you typically is like going to Tulsa, but this is pretty close to downtown, right?
Well, put it this way. I had to use Google Maps to get here. Okay? I've never heard of Ash Street before.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you here.
It's a beautiful office, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so let's do the intro with my dear friend, Kathy Gaumer, neighbor.
Thank you, Brian.
More than a neighbor, like a family friend.
Thank you.
And, of course, your husband is a dear friend of mine, and he's one of my golf buddies.
Yes, he is.
And, we're part of this golf group called the Sandals. And the Sandals, we all have our personalities. Doug is known as the really fit, studly, enthusiastic, bombs the golf ball. His musical taste on the Bluetooth isn't that great.
Yeah, well,
but
you can't have everything.
No, you can't have everything. But, you look at him and you say, wow, that body is just fantastic. He's strong.
He's
I see the way I see the way he looks you in the eye too. So there's a little
you know him well.
And then we have Tony. Tony, I had a chance to meet 2 weeks ago when I came in for my first little assessment. And like a lot of guys, was pretty skeptical, right? Geez, what is this? I'll check it out. No big deal. And so I think what you guys did a really good job with me, who I think is the perfect guy, right? I'm 54 years old, still trying to be mildly athletic. Still think I'm quite a stud in bed. But I think we can always use some improvement there, Leanne Sullivan.
Is this when you're in bed alone or in bed with your wife?
I'm fine. My libido's fine there.
Well, that's why we say better. You want to be better, right?
Not the best. All right. And so, Tone, you did a great job of sort of walking me through what is the process. And so I think one of the objectives for the listener today is, if you're someone like me, you like to golf, you like to be active in other ways. Are there other things that you can do? Of course, there's diet, there's exercise, and then there's these other things that are still healthy that, a lot of folks aren't aware of. So I think that's the objective of today. And, of course, Brett joined us today. And George, like me, doesn't really know anything about this. So I would say present this as if it's someone who knows nothing, which is in the case of George. The risks, the benefits, and what's the ultimate outcome? What are we trying to achieve? So Kath,
Sure.
We'll start with you.
Well, we'll kind of treat you as how we would a new patient. So typically as we would, let's say if George was coming in as a new patient, we would get a full medical history and really assess his previous surgeries, what medical problems he has, what medications is he on. And then we have a whole symptom list that we go through for both women and men. And so based on the symptoms, based on his medical history and his age and what he's trying to get out of the treatment, we put together a specific program for that individual patient, along with a full blood panel. So on that first appointment, we do a full blood panel, including a complete blood count, a comprehensive metabolic panel. We do a hemoglobin A1C, of course, a full hormone panel. And for guys, we include a PSA. We look at cholesterol, thyroid panel, on and on. So it's very, very comprehensive. And we see our new patients every week for the first month because there's a lot of education that goes on.
Right.
Like you said, hormones are complicated even for medical personnel. So for the layperson, it's a lot of education that goes into explaining what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what the benefits are, and what what the potential side effects might be. So that's why we see them weekly. On the second, they get their first injection based on that the first week, and then we see them every week to go over their blood work, answer questions. We do a body composition, which looks at not just their weight, but how it breaks down into percent body fat, what amount is bone and water and lean muscle mass. And it also gives them what their BMR is, which is the amount of calories they burn at rest. So there's a lot of information that comes out of that. And the reason we do that initial body comp is so we can do one later and see how their body is changing based on the protocols that we have them on.
Yep.
So I don't know if you have anything, Tony, you want to add to that?
Yeah, we have a really thorough process for our incoming patients because we feel like an educated patient is a happier patient. So when they understand what's happening to them and the benefits they're getting and they know what the treatment's doing, then they're much more bought into the process because you won't feel the effects of the treatment often for 4 to 8 weeks, typically speaking. So it's really important for us, and that's why we stretch that out for 4 weeks because you can't. It would be like a fire hydrant if we just said, here's what we're doing. So we just give you incremental information, and we have that planned out what we're going to do for each of those treatment days for those first 4 treatment days.
Got it. Got it. Now, George, of course, you like me didn't really know much about this, right? And so you had some concerns, right? Hey, Sully, the first time I presented, I said, hey, I'm going down to meet my buddy Kathy, and here's what she's going to do. And you said, is that illegal?
Well, you got to remember, I'm still involved with Major League Baseball. There's a lot of guys getting suspended for doing stuff. And I remember years ago when the shit hit the fan with Major League Baseball and all these guys using steroids, I got called in. The Royals got a lawyer for me. They called me into an office, Major League Baseball did, and they wanted to interview me on steroids. And I'm going, wait a second. I've been retired for 15 years. And all of a sudden, I'm in a room, and the Royals sent an attorney in there, and they just tell the truth. I said, well, I have nothing to hide. And he's asking me all these questions. Did you ever see anybody in the back in spring training with a needle? Did you ever give anybody a shot? Did you ever mix a drink for anybody? Did you ever see anybody doing this? And my answer was no. And finally, he was getting personal with me. Did you ever do it? And I rolled up my shirt sleeve, and I showed him my muscle. And I said, does this look like a guy that ever did steroids? And that was it. I was done. So I've always been real skeptical about anything that you put in your body because of my involvement still with Major League Baseball. Right. And I'm going to continue to be very, very cautious about it. I have talked to the trainers. The other day I went to a game when I found out we were doing this and asked them about B12 and testosterone. And they said, well, if it's legal, there's good and bad, I guess, and I don't know the difference. Yeah. I really don't.
Well,
and then I called my cardiologist because I've had some heart issues, and had that AFib, but I had that afibrillation.
Mm-hmm. Had a cardiac ablation.
Yeah, yep. I did that. Was in the hospital 2 days with that, but I asked him, and get the blood test today and see what it says and let him know. But before I do anything, I'm going to check with my cardiologist and I'm going to check with the Royal trainers to see, first of all, if it's legal that I do it, because I still get tested because I'm a in-uniform guy in spring training, and they're going to test me every year. The last thing in the world I want to do is be like that Tatis guy in San Diego and said, I got a haircut and I got an infection and I put some cream in there, and the next thing you know, that's why I'm so much stronger. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. So just my education, I'm going to err on the side of caution.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly. And, obviously there's a lot of information on testosterone out there, and some that is good and a lot that's not, and a lot that's outdated. And we always want to work with someone's physician, so whether it's their cardiologist or oncologist or whoever that they're seeing, we have full disclosure. I talk to other physicians all the time.
Right.
Because a lot of the time, the other physicians, the last time they had training on hormones may have been 20 years ago or longer. So a lot has changed over the last certainly 20 or 30 years that we know now that we didn't know back then. And we're not using the same types of hormone as maybe somebody was using in the back room of the gym or maybe illegally. So everything that we use is completely legal. It's bioidentical, meaning it is the chemical structure is the same as our body produces. So in that, we don't want to give someone super physiological levels that is going to put them at risk for other medical issues. But what we do is we like I said, we review everyone's history and we try to customize each person's plan based on their symptoms, their age, their blood panel results, and get the best results for them with the lowest risk. So for guys specifically, we're going to dose them weekly on an intramuscular injection, and we watch their hemoglobin level. We watch that every 3 months because as an anabolic steroid, it does induce the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. So that's a great thing because red blood cells are what carry oxygen. So you're able to recover from your workouts much more quickly, and you oxygenate those muscles so you're less sore right after your workout. But we do watch that because we don't want it to get too high. We also watch their estrogen levels because some testosterone naturally converts to estrogen in the body, and that's great for us girls, but for guys, they don't need a high level. So we prevent that conversion with another medication. So there's all of these safeguards in place. We've been doing it for 10 years. Now Tony and I have been in business together. And we have seen some remarkable results in both our male and female patients with people who maybe were inactive or maybe had stopped being intimate with their partner for any number of reasons, who are now back to enjoying their life and have the strength and the energy to live the way they want to safely. And that's obviously what we do here is try to get those results without causing anyone any unnecessary risk.
And this is something that you do the rest of your life?
So I always tell people, if you could just tell me about 5 years before you plan to die, we can stop the hormones. But unfortunately, I think everybody's crystal ball is broken. So it's there for you to use as long as it's beneficial. You're getting a benefit from it. If something in your medical history changes, we want to know about it because sometimes that does change someone's risk assessment. But typically, we have patients from mid-30s all the way into, I think our oldest patient is early 80s.
No, I think later, mid to late 80s, yeah.
So as long as it's beneficial and there's no change in the level of risk for an individual patient, there's really no reason to stop it as we're watching, all of these other things that make it safer. So we don't just say, hey, here's your hormones, go off and you're on your own. We manage our patients. We see them, most of them monthly, to kind of keep tabs on things. Some that live a little further out from our offices, we see every few months. So we really keep pretty close tabs on all of our patients, which allows us to develop really good, strong relationships.
And so, like, if somebody comes in on a monthly basis, how long is that visit? An hour, half hour?
So the first visit, of course, is always going to be the longest because you're going to go over medical history and symptoms and so forth. So we usually schedule at least about 30 minutes or so, and then the blood draw, et cetera. The second visit is about the same amount of time, and then typically the third and fourth visits are going to be shorter. We may allot the same amount of time, but usually we've covered enough education and questions that it's a little bit shorter. And then usually the monthly visits are 15 minutes or half hour, depending on the individual. Yeah.
I want what Tony's taking.
Believe me, all of our guys want what Tony's taking, for sure.
Well, how old are you, Tony?
59.
You're pretty buffed for 59.
Thanks, yeah.
He's in great shape.
Were you always that buffed, or did you started getting that buffed after you started?
Well, I was
well, we call it cheating in baseball, but this isn't cheating, right?
No, it's not cheating.
Not cheating.
We refer to it as managing the aging process.
Okay.
So when as you age, your body's less able to produce those healthy levels of testosterone, the messenger
hormone.
Well,
I'm 69, so imagine what my body feels like.
Yeah, well, I think you're an exception. Like when you were talking about like what happened to you in baseball, it's like, well, if you're a freak of nature and you can do what you did, then they would be going, You must have done something, George. Come on. So, yeah.
I didn't cheat. I drank a lot of coffee. Drank a lot of coffee before games. My last 3 or 4 years, because it was tough. And playing on AstroTurf. I mean, my back's, I was at a chiropractor today. I played 20 years on AstroTurf.
Yeah, wow.
My
That's
body,
hard on your
there
body.
isn't one day it feels good. Not one.
It's a lot of wear and tear.
No, that's a
on
lot
your
of
body,
wear and
I
tear.
had knee surgery on my left knee 2 years ago. I had my right knee this year. I got 2 bad shoulders. I mean, it's just a fucking wreck. My body. It never feels good. It never feels good. And there's until today, I've never heard of any secret pill or secret anything that you can do.
Well,
so this could be the answer.
Testosterone is your body's primary anti-inflammatory. It also helps you recover. So it volumizes lean body mass, so that you're stronger, you recover faster, you move better, you move with less pain. I always tell guys, almost every cell in your body has a receptor site for the messenger hormone testosterone. And so when those testosterone levels when they deplete and they do as you age, then those cells aren't getting that really healthy message. And so when they don't get the message, they don't behave well. They don't behave healthfully. And so in our view, hormones, estrogen, testosterone for women and testosterone for men, really triggers the whole aging process. So when those levels begin to deplete, then your body goes into that aging, and some age better than others. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about your word cheating. Like, we are actually cheating the clock. We really are. We're actually cheating the aging process by intervening in that, giving the body what it needs to actually function properly, and then manage the aging process so we have longevity with less liability. And that's really no one wants to live a long time and sit in a chair.
Right.
And you certainly don't.
Exactly. I'm too active.
Yeah. So we want you out there. We want you moving. We want you recovering. We want you feeling good. Testosterone is a brain hormone first. So once those cells get saturated in the brain, your outlook, your positivity, it enhances that, your cognition, your ability to process, your brain process. Mm-hmm. So we've seen all those great results with guys who are doing it. I've been doing it since I was 40, so I was like an early, I wasn't going to do it in the gym, but my doctor gave it to me, and it was amazing. I felt really great.
Tell that story. Tell that story how you I don't know, started from scratch, because it was pretty impressive. Yeah.
So I was an athlete. Every day in the gym, 5:30 in the morning, working out, and I felt really good. But in my 30s, I trained and played basketball. I probably played basketball 2 hours or more a day down there at Overland Park Athletic Club. Yeah. And so but when I hit 40, I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like myself. I remember one day I showed up at the gym and I just sat in my car and I left. And I thought, there's something wrong with me. I'm not sure what it is. So I went to several doctors, and a couple of them wanted to put me on depression. We hear this a lot. You're just depressed. It's like, I'm not depressed. I'm just telling you, I'm not being myself, and I'm pretty in touch with how I should feel. And so my wife called the 2 or 3 big compounding pharmacies, and she reasoned that if a doctor's sending patients to that compounding pharmacy, that means they're making drugs for them that aren't necessarily on the market. So they asked, well, what doctor does that? And they all said the same doctor. So I set an appointment with him, and he said, son, you just need testosterone. You're going to be fine. So I did it. And really, for me, in a couple weeks, I was just completely back. And I will say one interesting dynamic there, and I see it with patients, is you put this sort of moral context on your behavior, right? So I was thinking, I'm suddenly lazy. Like, I don't do what I don't follow through. I don't finish. I'm undisciplined. All of these things I was feeling, and it was really just a testosterone problem. And once I got that in my body, I was myself again. And so I can really relate with guys who just say, I don't feel like I should feel. I don't feel like I felt when I was really functional. And we can get that back.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have a bike. And I used to have a treadmill. I used to run a lot. And when I retired from baseball, I did every 10K in town. And that was my fun deal. I'd go out and run 3 or 4 miles. And then, a 10K, I'm going to sign up for that one. And I would do it in 58, 59 minutes. But it was more about just going out and getting it with a herd of people and just jogging. And I would always just jog. I never tried to win it. I wouldn't have won it. But it was just fun for me, and I'll never forget what somebody told me one time. It was like they said, "What you're trying to achieve is a dopamine rush," and now it's harder for me to do that because some days downstairs in my workout room at the house, I have a elliptical and a bicycle, and I got rid of the treadmill because I quit running, and I'll say I'm going to go down and work out for an hour today, and after 30 minutes I quit. Because all of a sudden it's just like, God, I just don't have any energy today. I don't know what's wrong. So then what I do is I walk into the bathroom and I take a longer steam and a longer sauna to make up for the 30 minutes I missed on the tread or on my machines, you know. But it's weird. Some days I have all the energy in the world, and some days I have none. Right. After I work out, some days the next day I can barely walk up the flight of stairs, after working out. I mean, my legs are just gone.
You are not alone.
It's absolutely crazy.
You're not alone in that.
A fun thing in my experience, or interesting, is after I had been treated with testosterone for a while, I went to the gym and I was working out, and I'm leaving, and I didn't feel tired. I mean, I felt completely recovered, not like beat up like I had felt before. And so in my mind, I was like reviewing, like, what did I do? Did I do this? Did I do this? Kind of clocking through what I had done and like what was my intensity level. And I was working out more intensely than I had, previous, and I didn't feel beat up. I mean, I felt almost instantly recovered. Now, that I think that it's a relative. So, like, that was relative to how I felt, a month before. And so now that's just my normal now. So, you kind of get to a new normal, and then you just maintain that normal. And so, some days I feel better, some days I feel worse.
What does your workout consist of?
Usually I'm doing you're
lifting though, because I can tell by your arms.
Yeah. I've had to change that though. So like I've had to go low weight, higher reps because you wear your body out. Mm-hmm. But I'll usually do 5 to 10 minutes of planks, to start out, just to kind of get me warmed up. And I find those planks are really supportive of your lower back. So and even though you're not necessarily moving, you're holding and like front, side, and then I'll just do whatever weight I'm doing. I happen to have a cable crossover machine, dumbbells. I mean, I have a whole setup in my basement, and so I really enjoy that. And then I'll do cardio. We have a bike. An echelon where you're in that class, and you're doing that competing with people. Yeah, so like I'll do that usually 10 to 20 minutes of that and as long as you have those intervals where you have high intensity. Now, am I working out like I did when I was in my 30s? No. Have I had to change a lot of things? Yeah. I mean, I do much more cable and dumbbell stuff, and because I can change my body around to accommodate my shoulders or whatever certain, but I'm still able to do it. And the beauty is I get results from it. So when your body is depleted from that anabolic hormone testosterone, you can train hard and you can eat right, but your body just won't move. In fact, you can't recover. Testosterone helps you to recover. And so that's why we have a function first philosophy where when a guy comes in, he may have a whole list of things he wants to resolve, but we're like, let's fix the testosterone, then let's step back and let's see what we have, what we're still working with. And sometimes all those things are remediated, so we're just moving forward.
I feel sometimes I work out and I get no results.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all,
do you ever get that, Sully? Or like when you work out,
I did before I came to Regain.
But like when you work out, what do you do?
So like this morning, I'll do 30 minutes of interval sprints, right? So here's a good example, which I want to share this with you even from 3 weeks ago before I started coming in here, right? So I'll go sprint as fast as you can for 30 seconds. I mean, till you're dying. Rest for 90 or walk for 90. 30 seconds. So it's getting the heart rate up, down, right? And then I'll do 15 minutes of dumbbells. But a funny thing is, again, because I asked Tony and I asked you, Dr. Kathy, when I came here, I said, well, how long will it take me? And we did our testosterone through the blood panel, and it came back that I was in some 250 level, right? And of course, we talked about there's no real norms, but you got a pretty good idea that that's not high T.
Right.
That's closer to low T than it is high T. Sully, this might be good for you, but you also both told me that it might take a little bit for the testosterone to wake up my cells to say, wow, okay, there's something that might be there. They kind of went to bed a little bit, right? So that really affected me. But it is sort of weird that today, the levels that I'm on now, I don't know if it's in my brain because I'm feeling like, geez, I've got a finish line. Of course, there's never a finish line, but I want to get better. So maybe it's a little bit of that, but I got to tell you, my body felt great. I mean, I'm at like a 9.5 level. The treadmill goes to 10, and I'm sprinting at elevation right now, and I didn't feel at the end of it. It was no big deal.
Nice.
So I really am. This is 2 weeks in, and I will tell you that. So working out, it absolutely has helped me. But I want to go back to something you said earlier, and that's the sort of your mindset. Right. I think when you said, before you walked into that doctor's office, something's off, right? Yeah. And the excuses come. I can't work out today. Or maybe instead of a half an hour, it turns into a half hour, right? I mean, there was a lot of that going on. And I know it's only been 2 weeks, but there's a lot less of that. And I also just, I feel the mood's better. I really do. And and again, I don't know if I know you don't love the word placebo in this thing, but who cares?
Right,
if it's a combo of what you're putting in my body that's making me feel good and a long time, and it's being validated by whatever, this placebo saying, yeah, it's working good. That's great. And that's why I wanted to get in here first before I even brought George in or whatever. Let me see what it's doing for me. And I don't know. I feel now I am gaining a little weight. Right, yeah. Which tell me about that. Should I be gaining a little weight?
Well, that's why we take that baseline body comp. So what we find is that athletes, if you've been an athlete, if you've been training, when you hit 40, you begin that atrophic process. So muscles shrink, and typically body fat grows. Now, George is a giant exception for that. So, we've got the guy on the bell curve right.
Right.
So, but when you don't have that, you have less of that anabolic steroid in your body that your body makes, you can't recover, so you tend to be atrophic. So we do body composition because when a patient does experience weight gain, we want to get back on that and demonstrate to them, well, you're actually gaining lean body mass. And we'll find athletes can gain as much as 10 to 15 pounds of
you're
lean
just turning fat into muscle.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well, what's happening is those muscle cells get that anabolic message, and so you're training and you're breaking them down, and then at night you're recovering. And when they have enough of that anabolic messenger, then they grow, so they volumize, and you tend to metabolize body fat. And with our body composition program, we found that people who are maintaining lean mass or growing mass tend to metabolize body fat much better. And we will call that a happy body. An unhappy body is an atrophic body that's actually losing mass, and they tend to retain body fat, and that's what happens as we age.
So how did it feel when Tony called you an athlete? Have you ever been called an athlete before?
You're training like one, like I heard you training,
You realize
Richmond.
that, it's you athlete. He called you an athlete.
I believe he did.
Have you ever been called an athlete
No,
before?
I really haven't. I mean, it's been a while, George. See what it does? It helps your confidence level, too.
So let me tell you, that placebo effect might work for the first week or two, but it wouldn't be for months or years. And we've had patients for 1, 2, 5 plus years. So I guarantee you it's more than just a placebo effect. And as far as the weight gain, so lean muscle, as you know, weighs more than fat. It also retains, you have more water. So that is what goes into that weight change.
Right.
But almost everybody will lean down, even if they change nothing else. Diet doesn't change, their workouts or lack of workouts don't change. The body will still change and lean up just because of the testosterone is there building that muscle mass. So even if you change nothing else, and this is the only thing that you've added, you'll see the changes. Now, obviously, if you work out and you do more, you're going to see that more quickly.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, that's why Tony said before I left, he said, don't change anything. We want to kind of see if this is working. But Tony, I seem to be working out more too, so who knows? We might not be able to check it out. But hey, I'm feeling great. Let's do this. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about who should be the people who come in here. In fact, our boy Sinks just handed us the symptom list, which I'd like to review because, the listeners might be going around, maybe have a little sleep disturbance, depression. Absolutely. They're yelling at their wives or a little too much. And, I want to know, why would someone come into this great place, going right down to what ages should do it. So we are having a great time. Dr. Kathy, my man Tony, Regain Functional Medicine. You're on the Golf Underground, ESPN Radio.
Guys, as the male body ages, testosterone levels steadily decline, and your body's become increasingly unable to produce healthy levels of the primary male hormone testosterone. At Regain Functional Medicine, we can help you regain your quality of life with testosterone replacement therapy. TRT improves brain function, sleep cycles, heart health, performance, and overall body composition so you can feel better, function better, move better, and look better. Visit us today at ifeelmuchbetter.com. Regain Functional Medicine, with locations in Lawrence and Leawood. Regain is better.
Hey, Brian Sullivan here, and I've got a tip for you. You've got to head to Unforked. It's an amazing restaurant. What I like about these guys is they promise to buy and support seasonal, local ingredients first. And I love the fact that they source from smaller, family, GAP certified, or organic farms, prime-going regions, artisan producers. All I'm getting at is, if you like fresh stuff, Unforked is the place to be. And like they say it, fork or no fork, you can be sure you're getting the highest quality, socially responsible ingredients possible. And not to mention, it's delicious. So whether you're out south or downtown, stop by Unforked for a delicious and healthy meal. Sheridan's Unforked. Honest, clean food.
Cowell Insurance Services is your leading program administrator for workers' compensation. They're dedicated to meeting the unique challenges of the insurance industry and assisting employers in reducing their costs. CIS has provided insurance claim and loss control services to various industries, including trucking, construction, retail convenience stores, and healthcare, as well as public entities for over 30 years. They work with both retail agents and industry clients, or a combination of the two. If you're tired of fighting the rising costs of premiums and claims, give Cowell Insurance Services a call. Their dedicated staff is ready to find you the best insurance option at the most competitive price. They can help to define or enhance your safety program in order to move you in the right direction in reducing your claim and premium costs. Contact Cowell Insurance Services today, 816-214-4070.
Hey, Brian Sullivan from the Golf Underground here with a little good news. And that good news is that even double-digit handicappers like me can occasionally make a double eagle. All right, maybe not on a golf course, but even guys like me can score when buying a new car or truck. I'm talking about 2 stores, 2 brothers, and 4 generations, treating customers just like family. I'm talking about our buddies at Bobsite Ford and Bobsite Independence Kia. With these guys, you'll always score 2 under, with double the inventory and double the customer satisfaction. That's the Bobsite Double Eagle. Now, Bobsite offers a wide selection of vehicles and promise to make the car buying process as quick and as hassle-free as possible. Now, whether you have poor credit, no credit, or maybe a first-time car buyer, you can trust Bobsite Ford, and Bobsite Independence Kia will get you into the car or truck you choose with professionalism and attention to your needs. So go visit our buddies at bobsite.com, but only if you're looking for a vehicle that makes you feel Welcome back, Golf Underground, ESPN Radio, in the Regain Functional Medicine and Aesthetics with my dear friend Kathy Gaumer and my new life coach Tony Fields, who's her partner. Wardo and I came in a couple weeks ago and we knew nothing. And I will say we went from apathy to enthusiasm, and that's why we brought in our wingman, George Brett, here. We said, you know what? Here's George, an athlete full of energy. But you do. Are you kidding me? You're full of energy. But, you got 2 bum knees. You got a back problem.
I got bad back spasms right now.
Yeah.
What do you got for back spasms?
Testosterone.
Oh,
No. Honestly, I think Tony said it before. That's where we always start. Because, everybody wants weight loss and everybody wants erectile dysfunction fixed and all that. So before we jump into all of those things, we fix the testosterone because, like you said, a lot of times that corrects a lot of these other things or certainly makes it much easier to correct once we've got the testosterone on board and their level's good. So for back spasms, we would still start there and then see what else we could do after that. But we appreciated when you and Kevin came in because we took an opportunity to do a lot of educating and discussing and answer questions. And that's what we do with all of our new patients coming in. So you got the full experience. And
Kevin get his
hopefully we'll
blood
have
drawn?
George too.
He did get his blood
And I
drawn.
heard he's not very brave when it comes to sticking a needle in his arm.
He may have had a bit of trouble with the whole blood draw situation.
I have one of my sons is like that. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. It's brutal to watch. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Took
And
us
whenever
about
I
30
give
minutes.
blood, I watch him. I sit there and I go, oh, God, you're good. It didn't even,
Oh, yeah.
Are you good at it?
Yeah, I have
Brian was
problem.
no trouble at
He
all.
had 3 of the staff members fanning him, and I think he just wanted the staff members to
I
fan
think he
him.
did too. Our
Because-
staff is pretty sweet, and they're all very nice looking young nurses and staff. So I think he enjoyed it a little too much.
Yeah, well,
So when you guys say you're partners, I thought you were like married partners. You're just partners in the business together.
Partners in business. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Our director of operations is Tony's wife, Lori.
Okay.
So she is our third partner.
Okay.
Yes.
well, the other sales point was you and I have a good friend, Stevie Douglas.
Yes. Absolutely.
Stevie Douglas.
Stevie's great.
Now, listen, you see Tony's bod?
Yeah.
It's pretty nice, right? This guy, Stevie Douglas, he's got
whole
the
new
whole
level,
package.
yeah.
You got
The only
George.
He's our
bad thing
best
is
advertising.
if you have arms
got-
like you play golf.
No.
Oh, you don't play?
No, I
okay.
don't.
Yeah.
If you had arms like that, people going to think you should hit it 200 or 330 yards.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you
Yeah.
just and here I played baseball for 20 years, retired at 40, and I am not a strong guy. I'm just your normal guy, but I don't have big shoulders, big arm muscles. You imagine if I look like that, and people would look at me and they go, "You only hit 320 home runs? You I don't want to change anybody's perception of me."
That if someone
But I would love to tone up.
Sure, of course.
I want to
and I think that's what you guys tell me about.
Get a little
about
bit
Doug,
bigger,
right?
maybe see a vein in my arm like I can see all your veins, maybe see some veins in my hand or something
Yeah.
rather than just
We'll be able to
fat
get you there.
rolling over everything. But
Well, we don't see
and
any
I
of the
try,
fat, but
I try, but again, I'm 69 and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to see results.
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, we've all, gone to the gym, worked out, tried to eat as well as we can, and the scale doesn't move, and you don't see any changes, and that's about as frustrating as anybody can take. So that's why people stop working out. They go off their diet because if you don't see results, you're frustrated, right? And you're like, why am I killing myself if I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor?
Exactly.
Right? So that is, I think, one of the biggest things, and that's kind of what Brian's saying. Those are the things they see early on, and the things that, particularly for our guys. Now, women are a little bit different because we have 3 hormones to manage versus you guys that have testosterone, and you're at a level that's 10 times what a female's level is. So, of course, you're going to see those body changes happen more quickly. But that, I think, is what really gets the guys excited. They're like, holy crap, I haven't changed anything, and like my pants fit different, and my arms are toning up, and for that, I mean, that's a big thing for a lot of guys. And
Here's an interesting sort of journey that I was on. I developed our body composition program, and so I would take a patient's body composition. We'd put them on a meal plan. I usually wouldn't let them exercise because we were just like trying to do one thing at a time. And so then we would monitor that progress and see what was happening to their body. So basically getting data from their body based on the changes that we made. And I tried to hold most things constant, so we could identify those changes. And what I learned through time and dealing with patients, I would have people coming to the clinic who I'd worked with their friend, and so it's like they'd say, "I want you to do what my friend," and so we would do it. And I didn't understand the importance of the testosterone and the hormones. So we would take their body composition like nothing would happen, or they'd be losing mass and no fat. So I would like kill them with protein. I mean, doing everything I could think of. And I've learned that the testosterone it really is the game changer. So you can't, their bodies wouldn't move. And I had data to demonstrate that. So then I would say, have you thought about maybe doing some testosterone or maybe doing some hormone replacements? Like, So they would do it, and literally within about 6 weeks, we would see their body begin to respond to what we were doing. If we're training, they're maintaining or growing mass, and so that was a really data-driven experience, getting that data from those patients' bodies and learning. And it got to the point where I would not even work with people. If someone would come and say, "I want you to work with me like you did with my friend," I would say, at your demographic, we're as old as you are, like it's not. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. And you're just going to be frustrated, and we're going to look at the data, and the data isn't going to change, or it's going to get worse. That's your experience. Like I would say, here's how we're going to eat. Have you eaten that way before? Oh, yeah, like I did this, this, and this. Like, what result did you get? None. It's like, so you think I'm magic, so I'm going to have you doing the same thing, and because I said it, it's actually going to work, right? Yeah. So what I learned is that at a certain age, when we're talking about the whole weight loss industry, there's a massive distortion. When the hormones aren't at optimal levels, the body doesn't respond very well. And you know it, you feel it, and it resonates with people when we tell them that. It's like, because it is their experience. We'll have women coming in, estrogen depleted women, and they'll gain 15 pounds and they're angry. And so when a patient is angry about the weight, that means they're doing everything they can to change it, and nothing works for them. And so you start treating them and their bodies begin to change. And so our perspective is that there's a big distortion in terms of how we manage our bodies, and we have lots of workarounds when we don't have those messenger hormones in place. Right.
So Brian, if I could, before we get on to symptoms, I want to go back to something George said, if I may, that, back in the day, testosterone was dangerous, or you shouldn't do it, or something bad's going to happen to you, right? That's kind of what was going on maybe 20 years ago. So there's been a lot of research, lots of clinical studies, looking specifically at testosterone and is it dangerous? What does it do? And there is a very well-known urologist that's out of Harvard who wrote a book for the lay people. This is not a medical book, that goes through every organ system and how testosterone affects it. And his name is Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, and Harvard-trained urologist. His book is Testosterone for Life. It's a really small little book. You can get through it pretty quickly, and you can get it on Amazon or wherever you buy your books. And it really went through and took the danger in that, and that old thought of testosterone is dangerous, and he really disproved that. And he was one of the doctors that went through a bunch of these clinical trials. And so we now know that if managed properly at the proper levels, it's perfectly fine and healthy. But you do have to keep a handle on it. You do have to treat your patients responsibly. But just for your listeners, if you just think about it intuitively, the guys that have the highest testosterone levels are the young guys, right? Prostate cancer is unheard of in young men. Who has the lowest testosterone levels? It's the older guys as they get older. Who has the highest prostate cancer rates? The older you get, the higher the risk of prostate cancer. So just intuitively, that makes no sense, right? If testosterone was the cause or increased the risk of prostate cancer, you would think that all of our guys would be we'd be seeing some percentage of our people being diagnosed, and we don't. What the philosophy is now is that since male testosterone levels do deplete as you get older as a natural process, which we call andropause, there is actually a name for it, that as those levels fall, the relative level of estrogen, which we do know is a cancer inducer, tends to increase. And so we think that the risk is primarily from that estrogen level rising in comparison to their testosterone. So we do know how to treat men and women safely now, which we didn't maybe 10, 20 years ago. So that whole thing is changing. But, you have to be, this has to be in your wheelhouse to be looking at. And most physicians are so busy seeing their 40 patients a day and trying to get through that this is something that, they probably haven't kept up on. And so the quickest answer to someone's question is, oh, it's dangerous, you probably shouldn't do it.
So we're sitting in your lobby right now.
Right.
I've seen 5 or 6 people walk in the door. They go to the gals at the desk. They give them an envelope and they leave.
Right.
What are they taking home? Are they taking home their monthly supplements or weekly supplements.
Right.
And that's what they're doing.
So to try to make it, so to try to make it efficient. So we talked about our new patient process, right? Weekly appointments, et cetera. Once we have someone on a fairly stable dose of their hormones, then we start a monthly program. So everybody's schedules are super busy. I mean, we can't have people coming in every week. I mean, nobody can maintain that. So once we have them on a stable dose, we give them their shot in the office, and then they take the rest to go home. And we've trained them how to give their own injections, or their spouse gives them their injection, or friend, other, neighbor, sister, whatever. And so we try to make it as efficient as possible. And we also try to keep the cost as manageable as possible, because this shouldn't be just for the rich and famous. It's got to be for every guy and gal, because everybody has these same issues.
There's advertisements on TV for this. Sure. Friend of mine, Frank Thomas. Yep. He does some deal, and I really don't pay attention to ads. And my wife and I watch TV a lot, and we'll be laying in bed watching a show on Netflix or something. Sure. And every time there's a commercial, I close my eyes.
I close my eyes. They're a nuisance.
And then the next thing you know, I fall asleep.
Well, that
by the third
to all
commercial, I'm out cold.
Can't get horizontal.
But Frank does it, and I think he does it with that Flutie guy, the old quarterback, Doug Flutie. And I believe it's a testosterone pill.
precursor.
Okay.
So let me tell you about anything you can get over the counter.
Okay.
Is not going to really push what we call the steroid pathway to testosterone as true testosterone. So any precursor is not going to be adequate enough to really make any significant change. And the way we can tell you how we know that is we have guys coming in all the time. Oh, I was on... what is that? I don't even know what the name of that is.
Testagel or
whatever
something.
It is. And we draw blood right on all of our new patients. So we see what their level is on that. And it's minimal at best. The FDA is not going to allow anything with any significant concentration or dosage to be sold over the counter. So I'm not trying to bust anybody's bubble.
Sorry, Frank, I brought that up.
Anything bad about Frank.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sure they're doing their best as advertisers for that, but anything that you get over the counter is not going to be the same. It's a precursor.
So where do you get your testosterone at? Is it a liquid?
We get it in a depot form, so it is in an oil-based solution, so the body absorbs it.
And who
over
makes
time.
that?
We have several compounding pharmacies that we work with.
And it's made out of what? I mean, how do you make testosterone? I have no clue.
Let's pull some out of you, maybe.
You
can become George Brett.
It's not you take it out of your body,
we draw Brian's blood and we synthesize it out of him.
Yeah, people
Stevie's
talk about synthetic hormones, but all of hormones that we treat patients with are synthesized in a lab. And so the starting place for testosterone is surprisingly yams. And so they use the yam and then they create the bioidentical, the molecular structure of the hormone is identical to what our bodies make. So it is all HRT, all hormone replacement therapy. They're synthetic. In other words, they don't take testosterone from somebody else's body and put it in somebody else's.
And it doesn't grow on a tree anywhere that we can pluck it and use that. But the difference between we'll call it a true synthetic hormone and a bioidentical hormone is the chemical structure.
Right.
If the chemical structure, and if we go back to high school chemistry or college chemistry, the chemical structure is what's important, right? So if it is identical to what the body makes, that's considered natural, if you will. And if it's different than what the body produces, it's not, quote, natural or bioidentical. So one example would be this is probably not for your male listeners, but we have birth control pills that women are on. Those are not structurally the same as what's in our own body. So it's significantly higher strength. So the body sees it as a significantly higher strength hormone. That's why it prevents pregnancy. So if it's structurally the same, it's considered natural or bioidentical. But yeah, you can't go pluck it off a tree, unfortunately.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to I'm going to go through this little symptom list.
Sure.
That you both made me go through to see if I was a candidate for this.
Absolutely,
With
as everyone does.
90% of these I have problems with.
Well,
so you said, that's our guy.
Yeah, right.
We were really shocked at that you checked every single one, but
That was
He was checking the ones that were for women only, too.
I really did, too, by accident. I'm going down, you're right, my breasts are sore. So I'm going to go down this list. Then, George, do you have some time to get a little blood panel?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do that.
we're going to take care of
We're
George.
going to go through the little body mass composition as you did with me and Wardo. Then we'll give him a little blood draw, and then we'll just come back and do a little wrap up about how the workflow, how it kind of went down, and if a regular guy would take it. So if you have chronic fatigue, lack of motivation, drive, weight gain, midline, that's back fat for me. Decreased sexual desire? Oh, hell no. A difficulty orgasm? Please. Loss of muscle tone? Yes, I was turning into a little weenie. Lack of focus? Yeah, bad joint body pain. Right there. A decreased exercise tolerance. Instead of an hour, you're only doing a half hour, George. Osteoporosis, you are hunching over a little bit. You think your bones are falling apart. And a weakened immune system. Do you get sick a lot? That's the question. So if you as a listener have any of those issues, we're not saying there's a magic pill, but it's certainly worth a conversation with my friends, Tony and Dr. Kathy at Regain Functional Medicine. So let's start the project. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, George, you're going to tell us how it all went down.
You got it.
All right, come on back. Golf Underground, ESPN Radio.
Looking for KC's best and coolest apartment experience? We have it, and it's called The Flats KC. The Flats KC is committed to providing an exemplary living experience by offering the best in-class residential communities in the most sought-after neighborhoods in Kansas City. With a focus on meticulous restoration and renovations of vintage properties, we aim to take the beauty of vintage and seamlessly unite it with modern touches. If you love urban living and are in the market for a freshly renovated apartment, The Flats Kansas City has options to fit every price range. Check us out at theflatskc.com or give us a call today at 816-454-3118.
Hey, Brian Sullivan of Golf Underground with my favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kevin Whitty from Sano Orthopedics. Hey, Doc, golf season's over. My back is killing me. I know it's football season, so you get a lot of kids coming in, blown ACLs, all sorts of body parts with problems. And then, of course, those baseball players. I know you fix a lot of elbows. Why is Sano Orthopedics the absolute best sports medicine orthopedic group in Kansas City?
Well, if you want to see the guys in town who've had the best orthopedic fellowship training in sports medicine, including training with Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Larry Lemack, come see us. We individualize patients' plans to get them back to that activity and that sport that they love, and we actually care and listen to our patients and follow up with them and make sure that they're getting the results they need.
Okay, and so the three things that separate you: number one, best training; number two, you specialize in getting people on that field; number three, you're actually listen. Where can I learn more? Because you got me all in, and I don't really want to get fixed, but it's time.
At SanoOrthopedics.com, 816-525-2840.
Hi, this is George Brett, Hall of Fame baseball player, and I've been playing golf for over 35 years. Hitting the ball far was never my problem, but the closer I got to the greens, that's when my problems began. When I wanted a golf practice area in my backyard, I called Celebrity Greens. They are the industry leader in custom-built synthetic golf greens. These championship caliber, low-maintenance greens roll great, react like real bent grass, and hold chip shots that check and spin. I absolutely love mine, not only in Kansas City, but also in Arizona. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens at 1-888-507-7960 or visit them online at celebritygreens.com. Practice like the pros, or people like me that want to be pros, right in your own backyard.
Hey, Brian Sullivan, Golf Underground, with a little tip for you. If you're looking to buy a new Ford, you have to check out my buddy, Jason Gudenkoff at Lewisburg Ford. They've been saving Midwest Ford buyers thousands of bucks for over 40 years because they do business the right way. They sell everything, check this out, for $50 over invoice. That's simple and cheap. And they win a lot of awards. In fact, they won Ford's President's Award 17 times. That's the top Ford award. And they only give it to dealers with superior customer satisfaction in sales and service. So they know how to take care of customers better than anybody. Now, what these guys know how to do also, keep this in mind, sell trucks. Lewisburg Ford has sold more F-150s than any other Ford dealership in greater Kansas City. That's 2 years running. And last year, they were the number one F-150 sales leader in the entire state of Kansas. So, no hassle. $50 over invoice pricing, unparalleled customer satisfaction, and a huge selection. That's a perfect recipe for selling trucks. So, check out all their inventory and prices online at lewisburgford.com or give them a call at 816-444-2300.
New golf clubs, a big screen TV to watch the U.S. Open, or maybe even a new golf cart that I've got my eye on.
No matter how you choose to spend the savings, if you're looking to put a dent in your monthly heating and cooling bills, the answer may be right over your head. If your attic isn't insulated properly, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to cut costs. Call the certified energy experts at Star Companies, Inc., 816-353-2160 for a free estimate to learn how they can help you save money. 816-353-2160 or visit starcompanieskc.com.
Do you have retirement dreams about perfecting your swing and spending your time on the green? Or maybe you have a bucket list of golf courses you'd like to travel to. Whatever your financial goals are, Mariner Wealth Advisors is your advocate. We take the same care in understanding where you stand today as we do in understanding where you want to be in the future. Then, we help you set a personalized plan to help you achieve your long-term vision. Contact Mariner Wealth Advisors today to start your financial planning journey. Visit MarinerWealthAdvisors.com to find a location near you.
Mariner Wealth Advisors, otherwise known as MWA, is an SEC registered investment advisor. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. For additional information about MWA, including fees and services, please contact MWA or refer to the disclosures on our website. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money. This advertisement should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell securities.
You're better than the best. I'm lucky just to linger in your light. Cooler than the flip side of my
Welcome back, Golf Underground, ESPN Radio. Hang on. All right, listen. We just had a little fun, George. We went in the back room.
I got tested.
Yeah.
I did body fat. I did everything. Blood. I watched them take it out. I got a B12 shot. I got something for my muscle spasm. And, man, I tell you what, I'm going to really check on that other thing, that testosterone. I'm going to talk to all my doctors and say, okay, this is something I want to do. Can I do it?
Absolutely. And
because you should check with your doctors first, right?
I think
you're not a quack. You're not a quack. But, I'm a quack for not knowing this.
No, you're not.
You know what
at
I mean?
all. No,
I'm just uneducated. I've gotten educated, but I got to just check with my guys to see if this is something that I should do. And the blood that you tested, the blood that you drew from me, are you going to check my testosterone level with that blood?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
Perfect.
We have a very comprehensive lab panel.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who has any medical issues at all, it should always be, it would always be appropriate to check with your doctor.
Sure.
I'm always available, and I've talked to many doctors and connect with them if they have questions about what we do, what dose somebody's on, or if a patient wants me to review their medical record before starting. We're more than happy to do that. We just have you sign a release of records while you're here in the office. We get that information from the doctor, and I review it and make sure I think it's safe, and of course your other doctors approves it.
Yeah.
I've been board certified for 30 years, so believe me, we follow the book and we do things as safely as possible. So want to reassure you of that.
And Sully, when I walked in, you were giving yourself a shot.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Pretty talented.
Huh?
Pretty talented.
Yeah, you should see me do a car bomb. Guinness Jameson with little Baileys.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Even more impressive.
What makes you feel better, the car bomb or the
one
shot?
Is short term, one is long term, my friend. Well, listen,
I was a little disappointed in my body fat. I got to get that down. Tony said I got to get it down.
You know what I was, George? I was 28% fat, like a fatty.
Well, I think we want to get mine to 28 at my age.
13.
13. You want to get mine to 13. Oh my God.
Well, you're at 22.
That's
You're
low.
at 22 now. That's a pretty
He's at
easy.
22. And
22% body fat?
Currently.
Okay.
So it's possible.
Wow.
The thing is, is that where you want to be able to live, the lifestyle that you want? Because, as we said before, you want to enjoy your life. You don't want to be, always dieting, always watching everything, but we want to get it to a healthy level. So getting that percent body fat down to a little lower, a little healthier is always a good plan. And as Tony said, testosterone helps you build that lean muscle. Lean muscle burns more calories. It also carries more water, so you're better hydrated. So all of that process will be in place.
You know what's crazy? Better hydrated. When you said that, there's a lot of times I wake up in the middle of the night with a little calf cramp.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yeah. You just need more water.
More water. Yeah. No, I do. I get cramps in my legs, my hamstrings, and my calves.
Oh,
I'll wake up probably
alone.
2 or 3 times a week, and it'll just wake me up, and I'll have to stand up, stretch it out a little bit, and then I always have water by the bed, and I drink a big thing of water, and then go back to sleep. So that could be a cause too.
Absolutely. Well, and, I think Tony's looking at it right now, but, when people are on testosterone and they go, oh my gosh, I've gained 5 pounds, and then we put them back on the body comp, the majority of those people have gained lean muscle.
Right.
And as we said, lean muscle carries more water. So your body's changing. Yes, maybe that scale has changed, but it's for the better.
But I don't want to have to go out and buy all new pants.
No,
that's
your
not
pants will
happen.
fit better, actually.
They'll fit better.
Yeah, they'll fit better, leaner.
I worked with a guy who was doing storm management, and they had that big hurricane down in Louisiana, and I was working with him, and he's like, I got to go. So he went down there, and a month later, he'd probably been treated for a couple months. A month later, I texted him and said, hey, I haven't heard from you. How you doing? He goes, it's crazy. My weight hasn't changed at all. And I thought, well, I said, well, are you like following the eating plan that we worked out? Yeah, I'm doing everything right. And I said, well, how do your clothes fit? And he goes, my clothes are falling off.
Yeah.
And so what's happened to him is he gained about the same amount of lean mass as compared to the body fat that he lost. So his weight didn't change, but his size did. So the important thing to understand is that lean mass is very compact weight, and body fat is very voluminous weight. And so when you are gaining lean mass and you're losing body fat, you're losing volume, but you're getting healthier. So we never go by the scale because of what we do. And then when we're looking at calculating what you should weigh, that is oriented to who you are. So you're an athlete. I'm sure when you were like fit, you were probably 8% body fat. So we want to give you a weight that accommodates what you want to do. So if we have a very sedentary male, we might put his body fat at 18%.
Right.
And he's going to be healthy and he's going to be happy. If we try to take that male that's sedentary and put him at like 8%, he's going to be unhappy because that's not reflective of his lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So you want to make the body composition reflect the lifestyle of the patient in terms of how much mass and how much body fat we're looking for. Number one, you want to be healthy, and number two, you want that to mirror the lifestyle of the patient. You like to have a couple glasses of wine at night, like you should be, but you're an athlete, so I'm thinking somewhere between 10 and 15%. You can have, once we get there, I tell guys, like, we're going to the village, stay on the road. Don't be off in the field. Once we get to the village, you can do whatever you can do. Have a lot of latitude, but let's get there first and fast. And so we get there, and then when we get there, you can have those sorts of things. Now, if you like wine, but if you're wanting to be 5% body fat, which I've worked with guys to get them to that place, then that's like you're eating all the time. Your joy factor is your body fat percentage. That's where you get your feel good in your life. That's where you get your endorphin rush. So that makes you happy. It doesn't make me happy because I don't want to live for that really low body fat percentage. So you find the body fat percentage that is healthy and works for the patient and they feel good, and then that's where you want to really keep them at.
So how many Coors Lights equals 1% of body fat?
75 if you're on.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, you're
Jeez,
good.
George. This is perfect.
Well, I was telling him what I had for dinner last night. A friend of mine, Derek, came over. He had a meeting in Mission Hills, and I was supposed to be at 6, and the guy was running late. So he came over to the house about 5. So we had 2 or 3 beers. And we just BS'd, and then all of a sudden I go out in the back and I grilled some chicken for my wife and I. And I had a boneless chicken breast and a thigh. I love thighs, the dark meat. I love that. And then I had a salad and some broccoli. Then,
Perfect.
I had a couple glasses of wine with dinner. And then we were sitting down getting ready to watch our show, and I had a Klondike bar. That's what I got to cut out. The Klondikes, cut the beer and the wine in half, eat healthy, work out, get the B12, hopefully someday get the testosterone shot, and just cut down everything in half and eat healthy, and I can get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
You think?
Yes.
Yes, I think that's very doable. And you already know like Tony said, you already know the road to get there. We just need to help you get to the village.
And I think so many guys like me, they'll go work out and then they'll go out and have dinner and they'll partake in some alcoholic beverages and a baked potato and, stuff like that. And you play for the tie. Exactly. And I've said, I'm just playing for the tie today. I had a great workout. I'm going to eat whatever I want. And hopefully my clothes will still fit the next day. That's my theory. Yeah, right. Probably 365 days a year.
Is that all?
If I get down to 150 days a year and eat healthy, the other, man, I'm going to be a lean, mean fight machine, won't I?
Yeah. The interesting position with where you are and the process of getting where you need to be is when we're first starting that process, it's a theory. Right, so you're looking at everything you have to give up, but you're not looking at how you feel when you give those things up. Right, so it's theoretical. So all it is when you first start is a giant sacrifice. But then, like you're monitoring your sleep patterns and all that, and you realize that you feel better when you do things that are more healthy. So people generally, as they age, they don't feel very good anyway. So they're looking for other things that make them feel good, and most of those things are not healthy for them.
Like a Klondike bar or ice cream every night, right? Because that blood sugar rush it gives you a lift. I mean, so it makes you happy for a period of time, and then you feel guilty in the morning.
Like 2 commercials instead of 1.
Tequila. You can go to Gaumer's house, and they've got a fabulous selection of tequila.
It has an effect on you, as we know.
It's definitely Doug's joy factor.
It does. It makes me want to get naked in the hot tub with it.
Well, that has happened maybe once or twice.
Do you think Doug would shoot me up next Wednesday instead? Like we can just.
He is a pro.
That's fantastic.
He's been doing it for at least 7 years.
All right. Well, listen, Tony and Kathy, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to just doing this, and again, I'm 2 weeks in, and I'm being honest when I said there's something a little different here, and I can't wait. 8 weeks from now, we're going to have a little bit of a before and after, and we already have it. And George, again, I just
can't wait to see you on the golf course tomorrow.
We have a little tea time, 11:30. I'm going to be a little refreshed, although he said he won't be my partner. Is that true?
I don't want to be your partner. We're playing with 2 guys that are +6s.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
So I don't want to be his partner.
Hey, well, listen.
What I want to hear is you just tell me our website.
Oh, well, I was going to have you do this.
Well, no. So, like when you say, "I feel so much better," that's why we have our URL is "I feel much better," because that's what patients say. Like, I feel so much better. So when you tell me the website,
I'm going to say
organic to you. Like
it's now. Is it? I feel so much better.
I feel much better.com.
I feel so freaking amazing or something like that. .com, right? I feel better.com.
I feel much better.
I feel much better.com. Right. I said I feel much better.com.
And whose website is that?
That's
our
ours.
website.
That's Regain Functional Medicine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's what we kept hearing from our patients after they've been treated. They're like, "Oh my, I feel so much better."
How about I feel much better? Thank you so much.
That got to be a little long, so we decided to shorten
up a competitive place, right? Just be a little bit better.
No, but Brian, we want you to come back after a few months and give us that testimonial and tell us how you feel.
We will. One final question, because we have Michael Sinks, one of our fine producers here. He said, "Sully, what about guys my age? I'm in my 20s. Would someone still like that? What might they get out of it before we?"
Well, so typically guys in their 20s, and believe me, I've worked with guys in their 20s, a handful, and it's not that they are always going to have high levels. We have found some guys in their 20s with really significantly low levels, and usually there's another reason, something else metabolically is going on, but so we typically aren't going to treat most guys in their 20s with testosterone, but certainly we have B12 they can still have. We've got other amino injectables that are, the basis for muscle building and recovery. So there's we have IV therapy. So if he goes out and hits it hard on a weekend and needs a little
What's happened?
Myers cocktail and a little hydration to get over the nausea from the, a little too much alcohol. We've got that for them. So all sorts of things for the young people.
Place
and
for
then,
everyone.
of course, we have a full service medical spa too for anybody who wants to,
look as beautiful as you.
Well, hopefully better than me, but have and aesthetics is for the guys now too. We have guys coming in for
George. That's what we're doing.
Botox
next.
and all sorts of things.
Right?
Get you beautiful.
Get it all. Right?
It's hard to make you guys look better.
We get rid of these crow's feet. Gosh, we could
I
be
always
rebuilt.
like that expression, Sully. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So I think you and I are long gone to come in here and walk in and walk out and look completely different.
You guys are good looking already. I don't think we could do much better.
All right. Well, listen. Make sure, guys, if you've got some of those symptoms, you're just looking for energy. You just want a little more focus, like I've gotten back in the last couple of weeks. Make sure to go to ifeelmuchbetter.com. I will tell you, it's an enjoyable visit. Think about it. Make it part of your routine by going to Regain Functional Medicine and Aesthetics just south of 435. We'll see you next week on the Golf Underground, ESPN Radio.
I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow and I sweat my rust. I'm breathing in the chemical